president's wartime authority trumps U.S. laws against torture. Torture is only torture if it results in death or near death. Our third story in the countdown, a new paper trail documenting the Bush administration's impetus to torture and just who provided it and just which Kiefer Sutherland character helped inspire it. I'm not kidding. Under a judge's order, the Pentagon has released a hitherto classified torture memo penned in March 2003, written by the same Justice Department lawyer, John Yoo, who had drafted a less explicit torture memo in 2002, which until today we thought was pretty damn bad. In the 2003 opinion, he appears to argue that when it comes to interrogating and detaining and even torturing so-called enemy combatants, executive authority is absolute. Quote, "We do not believe that Congress enacted general criminal provisions such as the prohibitions against assault, maiming, interstate stalking, and torture pursuant to any express authority that would allow it to infringe on the president's constitutional control over the operation of the armed forces in wartime." As to what that torture is, in accordance with its definition in various U.S. laws as severe pain, the memo concludes that, quote, "To constitute torture, severe pain must rise to a similarly high level, the level that would ordinarily be associated with a physical condition or injury sufficiently serious that it would result in death, organ failure, or serious impairment of body functions." And as far as what might not cause death, organ failure, or serious impairment, Vanity Fair magazine reporting that in September 2002, when officials at Guantanamo Bay were debating which interrogation techniques to use, one man, quote, "gave people lots of ideas." Jack Bauer of the fictional series 24. It was in its second season on Fox television. We're joined now by Jonathan Turley, the constitutional law professor and scholar of George Washington University. John, thanks for your time tonight.
Thank you, Keith.
Let's start with this memo, the torture memo. It was written for the Pentagon the month the U.S. invaded Iraq, a year after the kind of torture that the memo authorizes comes to light in Iraq. Does that sort of chain of sequence blow the administration's "it was a few bad apples in Abu Ghraib" argument out of the water?
It does. I mean, I know John Yoo, and it's very personally disappointing to see his name on these memos. Of course, it's nothing new, but it destroys the idea that these were just hicks with sticks. You know, they blamed a West Virginia military unit and basically portrayed them as a bunch of thugs. But what they were doing is strangely similar to what is laid out carefully in these memos. And so the administration was able to force all the attention on the low-lying fruit and to protect themselves. And that took a lot of effort, and it took a lot of lawyers. And I think that in the end of this terrible legacy, I think many lawyers will be ashamed of the role that we played, even those of us who opposed it. The fact that lawyers facilitated these acts is a very, very dark chapter for the American bar.
Yeah, it reads parallel to the entire layout of the plot of the movie Judgment at Nuremberg. How you twist a legal system to just provide excuses for a government. And to that point, this memo has a bunch of rationales in it, as you suggested, not just to protect the president, but the individual interrogators from future prosecution. It argues that you could hurt a prisoner and you could perhaps deem it as self-defense against al-Qaeda. How far of a legal stretch is that? How on earth do you back that up?
Well, it's not even a legal stretch. I mean, there's nothing to it. It's an effort to spin, to give some type of cover. You know, the president and his aides were very, very careful to go to the lawyers first so that they could make a claim that they were acting under some assumption of actual authority. But there really is none. And part of the problem, I think, for all of us who have JDs is that, you know, most of us believe we have a sacred duty at some point to stand with the law and against those who would break it. And while everyone keeps on pointing to when these memos were written, our job is to be dispassionate. It's not to go with the passions of the moment. And when you read this memo, it tries so hard to give the president what he wants, and that is the right to do anything that he wants.
And it also tries to pick it, as you suggest, and leave it for posterity as something that went up the chain rather than down. And yet in the Vanity Fair thing, there's a story about September 2002. There were 3 visitors to Gitmo: Chenney's counsel, David Addington; Rumsfeld's counsel, Jim Haynes; Alberto Gonzales, who at that point was still Bush's counsel. They discussed the interrogation techniques, then they watched them being employed, and one of the attorneys in Gitmo, Diane Beaver, said they left this clear message to do, here's the quote, "whatever needed to be done, that was a green light from the top." That's it. It's a green light from the very top.
Right. It's really amazing because, Congress, including the Democrats, have avoided any type of investigation into torture because they do not want to deal with the fact that the president ordered war crimes. But evidence keeps on coming out. The only thing we don't have is a group picture with a detainee attached to electrical wires. I mean, every time we see more evidence, we have more and more high-ranking people at the scene of this crime. And what you get from this is that this was a premeditated and carefully orchestrated torture program. Not torture, but a torture program.
And the only person who will ever actually be blamed for this will be Jack Bauer, correct?
Well, that explains why torture is supposedly stopped. They're off season, so I guess they're just waiting.
Thank goodness there was something good to that TV writer's strike. Constitutional law professor Jonathan Turley of George Washington University. As always, sir, greatest thanks.
Thank you, Keith.